All right, with Future Saga being a part of the Global Dokkan campaign of this year, I think that it is very reasonable to talk about the EZA possibility for Vegeta and Trunks. This character came out in 2022, and it is really crazy to talk about like these guys potentially getting an EZA, but I mean, if you take a look here, they are the oldest Dragon Ball Super Future Saga premium character to get an Extreme Z Awakening, right? Like this Trunks is from Z, the Tech Androids are from Z, then this guy's also from Z, and everyone else already had gotten an Extreme Z Awakening at this point. So this is the oldest, like, I think just in general, even from Dragon Ball Super. Yeah, so I mean, this guy's like basically next in line, essentially in terms of Extreme Z Awakenings for Future Saga and GBS Future Saga, right? And this character was very, very powerful on release. I mean, this character was the first true character that when he came out, he destroyed Cell Max. He was like really good for that Cell Max boss fight. He was really good in Broly. Like, this is where like consistently beating like the Broly stage started being a real thing. Because you could beat the Broly stage with the Ginyu team, obviously the Year 7 team, Goku Gohan. But this is where it's like, yeah, you're not just beating the Broly team, you're the Broly fight, you're demolishing him, right? And especially when it comes to Cell Max, this character was really good there too. So yeah, Vegeta Trunks was quite insane. So I think them getting a good easy would make a lot of sense. Now this is a Tanabata LR, so then maybe they hold this character in higher fashion. I mean, I guess let's take a look here. What other Tanabata LRs have received like Extreme Z Awakenings that I feel like are good, such as the Super Gogeta from last year. That Super Gogeta and the Tech, almost said Ingenemba. Tech Super Gogeta and Physical Janemba got really good Extreme Z Awakenings. Full Power Jiren did definitely not get a great Extreme Z Awakening for sure here. Blue Kalkin, Goku, and Evolution Vegeta got a really good Extreme Z Awakening though. So again, there's a bunch of these like examples of these Tanabata characters getting some pretty good EZAs. I guess wasn't really the case for Goku, Gohan, and Goten. They were pretty decent, but nothing really too special. But yeah, from here, I'm not really seeing any other character at least at the top of my head. It's like skimming past it, but still, I think this guy could potentially be a pretty good Extreme Z Awakening. Now this is from last night. Let's see, we should have a bunch of replies here. Yeah, 41 here. Then on YouTube we should have a good amount of replies too. I think I have 13 comments. So actually 27 comments here. So again, this is a character that I think on initial glance people aren't like, you know, oh, Vegeta Trunks, but this guy was pretty good. So we'll talk about how I designed them in their Extreme Z Awakening. Now, since this is the Extreme Z Awakening and not a Super EZA, this character will actually have their super attack effects changed. And again, I think this character is a 30% or a 20% attack and defense stacking character. So I feel like, especially with festival battles being a thing, making them stack on both their 18 and 12 key would be ideal to me. So I did actually change that, right? 50% attack and defense stacking on their 18 key, and then 20% attack and defense stacking on their 12 key. Now, I could see a world where they give both their 12 and 18 key 50% stacking, just like the Year 7 fusions, right? Even though the Year 7 fusions, of course, already stacked on both of their 12 and 18 key before the EZA, right? We see they had the 30% here and the 30% here. Then it changed both of them to 50%. I feel like this character is a character who's like turn one going to be really strong, and based on what they are designed like, I think they're going to be just stronger their defensive role in turn one, to where I'm not really, at least with how I design them, I'm not really thinking that they need that, right? So I did change their entrance animation. Activates the entrance animation when there's another bond of parent and child category ally on the team upon character's entry. So right now this is actually attacking in the same turn. So if you don't have a bond of parent and child category ally in that same exact turn, they won't get their intro, at least for that turn specifically. And I guess because of that, I didn't make the intro longer, right? I changed it from key 2, 70% defense and guard for 5 turns, to key 3, 100% defense and the guards for 7 turns. I think 7 turns is fair, right? Then I also gave him 20% extra damage reduction for 4 turns. So again, this would be really good for short content where they have the extra little bit of damage reduction, just in case, you know, they're not able to really tank the best in those specific fights. Now, pre-ZA, right now they're at key 2, 140% attack and defense, and launches an additional attack that has a medium chance to be a super attack, which is 30%. I think obviously just buffing these generally would be really good. So, key 4 right there, 200% attack and defense, I think it's a nice little baseline. Launches an additional attack that has a 70% chance to be super. I'm not really sure if they will just give them a guaranteed additional super for free, but I mean, they could. And then 20% damage reduction on top of that. Then for every attack they receive, they get key 2 up to key 10. Attack and defense 50% up to 200%. And then chance to perform a critical hit 20% up to 70%. Now before, this is just 5 keys, 75% defense, and then 35% crit chance. So I buffed these pretty largely and gave a attack buff here. So I mean, this 200% multiplicative will essentially work the same way as, like, let's say AGO Kid Goku, who gets 200% defense when receiving an attack, Tech Kefla, who gets 200% defense when receiving an attack, right? A lot of these characters we see that get like the 200% defense when they receive an attack. That's a huge amount of defense that they do actually get. It is basically just tripling the defensive stat you see start of turn, and this would just always be active. So, I mean, that's pretty good to me, honestly. This has a multiplicative 200% buff there. And then 70% chance to crit just because, you know, that's why not, right? They're not really a damage dealing character. I didn't really go for damage with this character specifically. Then as the first attacker in the turn, 100% attack and defense, a guaranteed additional super attack, which will give them more stacking, guards all attacks guaranteed, and then 30% extra damage reduction. So for the first 4 turns, when this character is in slot 1, they actually will have 70% reduction, which will be very good with the guard ability, and they have the extra defense earlier on, so they're going to be looking really, really nice against even like the Cellmax AoE, given that they're in slot 1. Now, I think the biggest issue with this character is that they were kind of a slot 1 merchant, and then once they aged out to not be as good defensively, they kind of fell off very quickly, right? And that will eventually happen even with their EZA, even with their in the future Super EZA. Like, there's gonna come a time where the character is going to run out of their viability. But to ease that pain, I did give them this ability right here. So as the second or third attacker in the turn, they actually would get 100% attack and defense when attacking, and a 30% chance to perform a critical hit. Now, I also consider giving them an extra 20% damage reduction when attacking, and actually I think I will, just because I don't think it's going to be that broken. Like, reduces, like, yeah, I'm actually going to add damage reduction rate 30% here, but when attacking, and then I think that'll be good, because it's like, okay, they don't have guard in slot 1 later on in the fights, and it's like, I think that would be fair, honestly, in case, like, okay, I kind of want to put this guy in slot 3 for this turn. They will get the extra stats there, and they're just like viable still if they're in the 3rd slot. I think it would be really good. Maybe they could even give like a supportive buff. I think if they're like as the 3rd attacker specifically, like what if they give like all allies 30% attack and defense for 2 turns if they're in the 3rd slot. That could be another thing I could see them having, but I think this is fine with what they are, especially with how prominent I think they're going to be in slot 1. This guy could be a really good Extreme Z Awakening. I think it's very easy to make them good. Really, the big things that they're missing is, I think, more multiplicative stats would be really nice, especially at multiplicative attack. They have none of that. So, letting them hit harder would be very nice. But I also just think, you know, damage reduction could be a really interesting, a good thing added to them. And finally, stacking of the 12 key super attack effect is just a huge thing. And it'll give merit to them having at least this additional right here in their kit, but ideally, like, letting them be able to stack a lot would be really, really nice. So we'll see how their actual EZ is. If it's something similar to this, I think they would be very, very powerful. And yeah, again, viability in slot 2 or slot 3 would be useful, but I'm not going to be like, oh, it's the end of the world if they don't have that, as long as they're as good as they can be in slot 1 specifically. So, again, we'll see. I think, you know, this character would get an EZA. Wouldn't be announced for, like, I don't know, we say the units drop on the 7th, maybe, like, I mean, it could be, like, the very same week, but I could see, like, the 7th, then, like, the 10th, we get Super EZAs, then on the 14th, we get actual Extreme Z Awakenings. then the 21st is like part 1, right? That's what I would think. And maybe like the 14th would be where like Vegeta, Trunks, and Fusion Zamasu get their EZAs, right? Very possible. But let's go ahead and take a look here at some of the replies on Twitter and YouTube. We'll take a look at YouTube replies again, just cause. Don't let them stack. Okay, yeah, fuck stacking. They stack your allies when they super. I don't think that would be a thing. That would be really absurdly powerful. I would think they would save that for a brand new character, but hey, you know, if they want to give him that, I'm down for that, right? 100% damage reduction, instant KO, all allies. That's a huge number. I don't think that would be the case. Yes. 12 key, 50% attack and defense, positive colossal damage, then great chance to raise attack and defense. 18 key, greatly raise attack and defense, Mega Colossal, then all allies 50% defense and attack for 2 turns. Honestly, this would be pretty good. I would take that. Like, instead of like letting them stack, giving them this ability, would be pretty good. Yeah, this would be really good actually. Like a 30% buff here, even just 30% would be huge for 2 turns. Second 12 key permanent guard, unconditional 30% to 40% reduction and more damage reduction when slot 1 on top of existing extra defense. I don't think they'll need as much damage reduction as people will think if they're in like if stacking with like 40% guard. Like that's pretty good. It just really depends on their multiplicative stats, and I do think that they'll likely get enough. And we also have the active skill as well. Come on, the active skill does give all allies 20% defense here, and all attacks do become crits technically, but this basically is only going to be seen with this. I guess the all future saga restriction could very easily be a thing though, depending on how they handle it. I mean, let's say we get, like looking at future saga in general, let's say we get a new Vegeta Blue, let's say we get a, I don't know, like new Vegeta Blue, Super EZA for physical Vegeta Blue, I think could be a thing. This guy right here, let's say this Vegeta and Trunks should be a character. You could probably throw Future Gohan out here still, actually, and depending on the event, he could still probably be a decent option. But then from here, I mean, we would need still some other Super EZAs like the In Sword Hope Trunks, this Blue Vegeta. And again, this is me considering, I don't really know if you're going to be mixing Super Class and Extreme Class. We could also see this STR LR Vegeta Blue getting Extreme Z Awakening is what I'm thinking. Could be very exciting. And of course, you know, Angel VB could also potentially get an EZ later on. It's something we gotta wait and see about that. But I'm talking about this character first anyway, so let's keep looking here. Mega Blessed in slot 1, and on top of that, you want them to get a higher amount of damage. They deserve it. One of the best units back in the day. Damage reduction, tank stacker. You think you're too late to write a detailed breakdown? Actually, you're not, funny enough. But I feel like something on the realm of Tech Exchange Vegeta, garden 70% reduction while doing more damage. I think that'd be pretty good. Actually, like if they just like copy and paste Tech Vegeta's kit. Like, and he's talking about the year 10 Vegeta here, this guy. Like if it was like this guy. I mean, let's take a look here at the similarities between them. So this guy obviously has the guard. Let's say, so 200% stats right there. 50% damage reduction, supporting. 100% attack when attacking. So this guy has 70% reduction with the guard, but keep in mind my Vegeta and Trunks does have multiplicative stats, which is really huge. This guy also does not stack attacks. So yeah, I think very similar in that mindset as a slot 1 character like this. Yeah, this would be pretty good. Like if they went very similar with this kind of kit design. I mean, that's very similar to what I did. So that'd be pretty good. That'd be pretty good. We'll definitely take that. Activates the entrance animation where there's Bond, a parent, and child, or future saga on the team. Yep. Key through 200% attack and defense and then guard for 7 turns. Okay. So in this case, key through 240%. 2 additionals with a high chance to become super. High chance to crit. And then against future saga, he does guarantee crit. I guess so. So multiplicative stats up to 150%. 6 key. 35% crit chance. So this probably would just be increased anyways, but I guess it doesn't need to be because he has high chance already built in. Then 40% reduction. I assume this is like just a one-time thing, obviously. Yeah, as the first attacker, 20% reduction, guard, then key to 150%. As the second or third attacker, great chance to guard, interesting. Key 1 and 200%. Then gives support 2 key 60% defense. Then a bottom parent and child or future saga allies gain 1 key and 60% attack. 20% stacking, 12 key, 50% 18 key. This would be pretty good. I do like this concept actually because of the support ability here. And then it's like, okay, you know, you still have 40% reduction in slot 2 or 3, but you still have the great chance to guard too. And you're getting a little bit of extra stats here just in case. That'd be pretty good. I would like that. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at some YouTube comments here. So let's see. Quotes maybe? We're leaving VT hate behind in 2022. Well, I mean, we never had VT hate in the first place here. Not in this house, right? 30% stack in 12 key, 50% in 18 key, 50% damage reduction slot 1 with build up, 200% defense per hit. Yeah, okay, that's fair. Turn 1 to get an extra 21% reduction. Okay. Stack in 12 and 18 key, baseline set of a damage reduction to make their current additional guaranteed super as well, giving them another one. Could be chance based guaranteed. Make them more fun unit in both offense and defense. Yeah, I feel like VT were very, very defensively based, and it's like they didn't really need to do that much damage. Like they did decent damage at best, like on the active skill turn, but obviously wasn't anything too mega crazy. But I think now offense is a lot more important. So especially with the amount of HP these bosses have, getting an ability where this character does a lot more damage, I think especially here, adding multiplicative damage would be really, really huge. So we'll see. We'll see. So this is another concept. We'll go ahead and read this. Let's take a look here. Activates entrance animation when there's another bottom parent child or battle of fate category ally in the team. Okay. Key 5, 7 turns, defense 150%, and then guard for 7 turns. Okay, this is very similar to what I did actually, except my defense is lower, but I did give them 20% reduction earlier on, right? So key 5, 200%, launches an additional super attack, 30% crit chance, and then 40% damage reduction. 100% attack multiplicative when attacking, with 12 more key, which is basically all the time. For every attack received or evaded. That's a little good addition there, like received or evaded here. Key 1 up to 5, 20% attacking defense up to 100%, up to an extra 30% reduction, so they have 70% reduction at guard and slot 1. Then basically getting up to guaranteed crit with an extra 70% here. 200% defense when receiving an attack, baseline good thing. 150% attack and defense as the first attacker plus guard, then launches an additional super attack after receiving or evading an attack. Then as the second or third attacker, 100% attack when attacking, an additional 20% reduction. So they would have 90% reduction if HP is 77% or higher. Right, if I'm not mistaken, because this is 40% plus this 30% plus this 20%, right? Launches 2 additional super. So very, very high damage to the character in slot 3, or slot 2 or 3. Then the 18 key does have 50% stacking, superclass allies defense 50% for 2 turns. Then a 30% defense stack, no attack, stacking outside the 18 key is fine as well. This is good. I don't think that they would give them this extra reduction here. That's all I would take out, and everything else looks good to me. Very, very powerful character. If they're EZs like this, I would also be very satisfied. Good job, Passion. Another concept. Let's see here. So 12 key 50% stacking with a lower attack and defense, 18 key massively raised attack and defense for the turn, mega colossal and seals. Well, this, the only thing that about this doesn't really make sense is that they are a stacker on the 18 key already. I don't think that they would take that stacking ability away. Key 3, 80% attack and defense and guard all attacks for 5 turns in intro, rainbow orb changing, and then super effective against all types. And then still attacking in the same turn for bottom parent child. 190% key 5, 20% reduction. Crits, Scouter, launches an additional attack, does a high chance of becoming a super up to 5 times. Up to 5 times. I'm not sure what that means. Like, what's the condition? Is it just like he does it 5 times a turn? Like, is it like he will launch an additional attack until he gets an extra super? Or it's like he has 5 turns of this additional. For every attack received, key 2 up to 10, 18% attacking defense up to 80%, and then extra 8% chance to crit to 45%. In the first slot, 80% attacking defense, high chance to... He has guaranteed guard already. Nah. So you're changing... So this is just... This is just dodge. Okay. This I'm not really sure what you're going for here. I mean, a lot of this stuff is cool, but I'm not sure. We'll take a look at this last concept here, I think, and then we'll end things. So, 12 key, 30% defense, greatly raise attack for 3 turns. Then 18 key, greatly raise attack and defense permanently. Superclass allies attack 30% for 1 turn, self-excluded. I mean, this little attack buff is nice. I would add defense personally, but you know, it's fine. Key 450, 100% attack and then guards for 5 turns. Pretty much very similar to what I did. Then 30% reduction for 4 turns. Basic effects, he would give him key 4 and 200% attack and defense. Launches an additional with a high chance to be super. Then builds up to 200% defense. Key 2 permanently. I think that'd be really good, actually. Yeah, just like this permanent 2 key. So they would just live at 24 key, right? Just kind of very similar to what Super Saiyan 4 Goku has in a sense. The year 10 one. And then critical hit chance 10% up to 50. And damage reduction rate 7% up to 35%. So, okay. VT's concept plus a cooler concept. Probably won't read the cooler concept in this video, but I appreciate putting the cooler concept here. Trying to hold yourself to semi-realistic standards as well. As the first attacker, guard 150% defense, 150% attack when attacking with 12k more. That's pretty good too. Bottom parent and child key 3. Then when all allies or bottom parent and child are immune to negative effects, so they can't be locked or sealed or anything. That's cool too. I like this. This is interesting. Like all allies or bottom parent and child, they become immune to negative effects. That's pretty cool. I didn't really even think about like a passive like that. I've never thought about a passive like that, and I made a lot of concepts. I like that. I like that. That's a nice little one to end it off on. But yeah, I think Vegeta Trunks, very easy to make them good. Very easy to just make them only okay as well. But I think that as a Dokkan Fest LR, they'll hold this character to some pretty good standards. At least fingers crossed when it comes to that. But let me know what you guys are thinking, how you would do their Extreme Z Awakening in case you haven't thought about it yet. Thanks y'all for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out. I realized I never went back to the YouTube comments, so we're gonna read a few more and then we'll actually end. So oh yeah, 55% chance to guard, 55 dodge, 55 defense, 55 damage reduction, 55 support to all allies, 55 turns. Yeah, that one meme, okay. All their attacks way stronger. Base guard, 50% reduction, 50% stacking, yeah. I think a lot of people really want to see more offense from this character, and I really do get it because, again, I talked about it earlier, but the HP increase for these bosses are pretty wild, right? I don't think... Low-key, I feel like it's not as big as a deal as some people are making it seem to me, but it is a pretty drastic shift. So if this is like, the part of the year, like, I mean, like, let's say in 2022, this is the part of the year where Vegeta and Trunks came out and then they really started a shift. If it's the same thing with these new characters to start a shift, I think that'd be really good. And the Extreme Z Awakenings even would need something like that. That's why I made Physical Vegeta Blue do a ton of damage in my concept, because these bosses have so much HP, right? All allies 30% attack and defense and 10% reduction for 1 turn. Could be interesting, I guess, right? I'm not really seeing too much of like support, in my opinion, for this character, but I could see them becoming a pretty decent supportive character. Like if they're like, depending on the situation, like on their 18 key or, maybe in the 3rd slot or something, like, something interesting. Like an ability where they would get stuff in slot 3, I think would be really nice, or slot 2, right? So they're not just only locked to slot 1. They are not massively raising infinitely, I will tell you that. So extra reduction with each super performed in the turn. That could be decent though, honestly. Like, imagine slot 2 for every super they do in the slot 2 or slot 3, they get an extra 7% damage reduction. That could be cool. Yeah, it's like, and then right here, 2 additional with a great chance to be supers. After receiving 5 more attacks, guards, and then all allies 2 key 50%. Yeah, something like this where it's like they receive a certain amount of attacks and they guard in any slot could be good too. You want every easy from the celebration to be goated. Here's what you would add on to. 12 keys, 3 turn stack would be, I think that'd be okay with me too. 18 key greatly stack, and then all allies 20% attack and defense for 2 turns. Increase base stats to 200%, permanent guard 20% reduction, 20% extra in slot 1. This is very similar to what I have. 30% extra during the intro with 5 turns. Launches additional super attack and then another additional super with Bond Parent and Child on rotation. High chance to crit and then 75% attack and defense to 225% with each attack received. And something like this is even just very basic would be very good for this character, but yeah, we'll read this last one and then I'll think out and things. Super attack effect greatly raise attack and defense, colossal damage on all allies, 20% attack and defense for the turn, I assume. Then ultra super is 50% stack, but with nothing else. Interesting, I guess. I would personally switch these around, but yeah. 5 key, 250% attack and defense from the entrance. 5 key, 200% attack and defense. Additional super guaranteed. 20% reduction and another additional super with a great chance. Additional attack with a great chance being super in slot 1. 50% damage reduction. Okay. Launches an additional super if there's a monarch parent child in the same turn. 1 key for every key sphere obtains. This is something that I didn't really consider giving them actually, but that would be pretty good. I just give them like a ton of key, but great chance to launch an additional, or great chance of an additional attack that has a great chance to be super and performing a crit when keys 20 or more. I would just make an additional. Then perform a critical hit when keys 24 and using the active. That'd be good. I mean, they have guaranteed crit in their active, so I'm not really sure if they would give that. They could, but you know, I think this is like I think they'll be really good defensively here, but a lot of extra offense added to this character to round them out would be nice too. So I like this actually. It looks pretty good. So yeah, I think all the things here. We read a couple of extra YouTube comments because I'm like, I think I read more of the Twitter comments than the YouTube comments, but now we're actually gonna end it. I appreciate y'all, and of course we'll catch you in the next video. Tomorrow is going to be the live stream. I will be live. Well, it's not gonna be a real live stream; it's a premiere, but I will be live reacting to that. So stay tuned.